pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everybody. We are back. I'm glad you could hang out with us today. I know it's been a couple of weeks. Been a tough couple of weeks too. I lost my access to computer for about a week and a half. It is now fixed. And my brother is on the phone. I have my voice back and we are ready to rock. My name is Chris Williams and you're listening to the Constitution Committee. I guess you saw Sean Spicer has his last day already at Newsmax, right?
I didn't hear about that, no.
I think it was Friday evening. It was his last day on Newsmax.
Yeah, I haven't even done much for turning on the news lately. I've watched a few minutes of it since Newsmax has been back on DirecTV, but I just, not DirecTV, Uverse.
Yeah,
I've just gotten to where the simple premise behind even watching the news has just dropped off of favor for me. I mean, I don't.
Well, most of it's bogus anyway, or it's, you know.
I mean, it'd definitely give me things to kind of keep my eyes open for, but the things that, you know, they should be talking about, they're not talking about. So 90% of it is all basically a psyop or a diversion. You don't hear anybody on the media talking about the number of countries that have joined the BRICS nations and the fact that Saudi Arabia has openly declared that they're going to receive other nations' currencies for oil.
Mainly Chinese currency.
You haven't heard anything on any of the media outlets that talks about Biden getting ready to try to surrender our sovereignty over to the World Health Organization. Nor have you heard anything about them trying to push this bill through, well, which was already pushed through actually, for the central bank digital currency. But nobody's talking about it. And these are the things that affect everybody's immediate here and now life. And people just don't know because they're so consumed with the bullshit indictment against Trump. They're so consumed with all these damn transvestites or transgenders shooting up places.
Oh, but wait a minute now. They are talking about, though, the transgender population that is a victim, and that's why these shootings are taking place. That's what they'll talk about. But yeah, but be advised,
that also is bullshit.
It is. It totally is. I mean, quite frankly, and look, I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't dislike the people, okay, even in the trans community. What I dislike is what the Bible says is an abomination. Now, the deed and the people are basically separate entities in the eyes of God, but however, participating in these things put you on the bad side of God. But if you're a trans, talking about you're a victim, you victimize yourself. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so, you can't go off blaming your victimization on teachers and students in a Christian school. I mean...
allegedly they foiled another transgender guy in Colorado from going in, which I think is amazing. They can't stop any shootings on a normal basis, but this one they foiled. I think all of this, all of it is to serve a purpose, and the purpose is to distract us so they can seize and garner more power against and over us.
Well, not just that. I think part of it, too, is to make sure that we understand, we as American people have to understand that guns are the problem, right? I mean, no, but guns are not the problem. And by the way, while we're talking about this, too, there's something that's really been irking me to no end. And it is what we're talking about. But if you look at this indictment with Donald Trump, even what we call right-wing media, and there's not much of that anymore, but even right-wing media, their captions are reading, Donald Trump indicted for 34 felonies. Be advised, there were not 34 felonies. I don't know why they keep
Yeah.
saying it, except that they want to drill it into your head that Donald Trump committed 34 felonies. Well, these 34 pieces that Alvin Bragg has decided to bring against Trump. First of all, attorney generals and DAs for the last 7 years have refused to take the case pertaining to these 34.
And the FEC.
That's correct.
And they've all looked into it.
Every one of them.
Yeah, they said they refused to take it on because there was no there there.
That's correct. And they're not 34 felonies, or believe me, the FEC would have taken this up anyway. But they didn't take it up because it had nothing to do with campaign funds. These other attorney generals and DAs, including Alvin Bragg himself, refused to take this case because there was nothing there to prosecute him on.
Yeah.
Now the statute of limitations has gone out. Even if these were criminal offenses, the statute of limitations ran out 5 years ago. And bear in mind, they are not felony offenses. If they were any type of offense at all, they'd be misdemeanors. However, all 34 counts pertain to the exact same charge.
Well, the reason for calling them 34 felonies is because they already know, they've already done a trial run. They see how many people are going to be good little people, and they're going to put their mask on and willfully lock down. So they already know these people. Yeah, they already know that these people are going to hear the number 34 felonies, and they're going to assume, oh, it's got to be really bad. But when reality, yeah, it's all on one thing, and
none of it really is criminal.
Well, and then they're trying to shirt tail it, or whatever you want to call it, to a federal crime by saying that it was to cover up another crime. Right. And what they did by doing that, which there was no underlying crime to cover up. So is there, yeah, like you said, the statute of limitations has expired, long past expired. And because there is no underlying crime that he was trying to cover up, the whole thing is garbage. But because the district attorney's office has been receiving federal money and tax dollars, that leaves them open for congressional oversight. And Alvin Bragg said that he wasn't going to respond to a subpoena that the federal government is trying to
well, the federal government has the right.
And squash. Well, of course, the minute he received, or his office utilized, taxpayer dollars from the federal government, that puts it in right there. Not to mention that it's prosecutorial misconduct.
Right.
The judicial overwatch. So the judicial committee gets to see it. And then you get to have it in the dang oversight committee gets to look at it, because federal money was used to do this.
And that puts it in the purview of the judicial committee. However, as you were saying, Alvin Bragg refuses to go before the committee. But here's the other thing. He actually added to that by saying, basically telling Congress to mind their own business. That is the business of Congress. Once you start using federal money, that is in the purview of Jim Jordan's wheelhouse. I mean, that's what he does. So you got to tell him, mind your own businesses. I mean, this isn't something I'm going to even acknowledge. I mean, really, all I got for Alvin Bragg is, who the hell do you think you are?
He is a Soros puppet. He is a lynch man.
Mm-hmm. But you know who I thought of when I saw him on TV the other day? It's kind of funny, really. You remember that movie Eddie Murphy did where he played that really, what was that, professor or whatever?
The Nutty Professor.
The Nutty Professor. That's who he reminds me of, is the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, or Fat Alvin.
I called him Fat Albert at first, but no, he is definitely the Nutty Professor.
Oh, this is interesting. We got a truck up here. Just doesn't. I guess he was in the sleeper or something at a green light. That's pretty nice. But
and I think there's another thing you need to look at here also, as far as this And I don't even really want to call it an indictment. I think it's an incitement. That's what this is more than anything, because they're wanting
Yeah,
people to believe that Donald Trump has committed some huge number of felonies. But if you really look at this, first of all, Donald Trump has been, what is it? Mayor Giuliani said, this guy was 20 years in the construction business in New York, and he has had no wrongdoing. Credit to him yet. That's phenomenal if you know about New York and construction. I mean, that's all mafia business, right? But Donald Trump
yeah.
has operated his business without being brought up on charges before. Why are we bringing these up now? And what is there to bring up, in fact? I mean,
Well, this is another thing that people aren't getting on the mainstream media or the
or
legacy
any
media
media.
media channels is that Donald Trump, through 7 years of investigations, subpoenas, and all this shit, he's already relinquished over 11 million documents.
Oh, and by the way, that's
And they have not,
voluntarily.
yeah, and they have not found anything to prosecute him on. Well, they've found things they've tried to prosecute, but nothing has stuck. Now, when they got the Trump, excuse me, the Trump, his business, when they got the business, I mean, to me, it's laughable. The old man that was like the COO or CFO or whatever
Yeah,
that got convicted didn't plead guilty out of guilt. He pled guilty because he was coerced and threatened by the court.
that's
But
right.
what they convicted him on and what they found the Trump organization to be guilty of, the company car that old man was using, he was not paying taxes on a company car. That is not illegal. How
Why
many
would he be
people?
even responsible for paying the taxes on a
Well, that's
company
what
car?
they convicted him for. How many people in this world have jobs where they drive company vehicles? Now, how many of them pay taxes on the company vehicle that they're using?
I,
None of them.
I used to
So,
drive a company vehicle, and I can tell you right now, the only thing I was responsible for was using the company card to put company gas in that company vehicle.
well, yeah, but I mean, now you're looking at everybody that has a company car should probably be fearful because now there is a precedent
Yep.
that states a criminal precedent. I mean, somebody serving time in prison over this.
Yeah.
That if you don't pay taxes on your company car, your ass is going to prison. And I don't remember if that was on him or if they said it was something due to the bookkeeping dealing with that. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not a accountant. I'm not a tax attorney, but that was the gist of the charge. It is a bullshit charge, and there people even that don't like Trump need to step back for a second and realistically analyze the situation for what it is. They're trying to attack a man that is going against the status quo, the machine, the deep state. He
Which
does
is,
not.
by the way, the very machine that has destroyed the American way.
Yeah, I mean that is the only reason they've been after him since day one.
That's
He
right.
took no donor money, no PAC money. They knew they couldn't control him.
He's not
And
viable.
people, yeah, and people want to sit here, even the people that hate Trump, and at the same breath will say how the government is corrupt, but they don't want to do anything to correct the corrupt nature. They
That's right.
want to attack the one man that had the balls, that had the wealth to go in, finance his own campaign, donated a presidential salary, and to start disassembling what we call the deep state.
I think you
And
forgot one other
everybody,
thing that Donald Trump did, and a lot of people don't believe this, even though he had his attorney announce this. He separated himself from Trump Industries when he was on the way to the
oh
White
yeah,
House. So,
yeah,
or Trump, whatever it's called. But, and listen, you've been in business, I've been in business, and we both know that there are certain ways to structure a business. What I mean by that is you can either be a sole proprietor You can have it set up as an LLC. You can be a partnership, or you can be um, S corporations. Whatever you set the framework of your business up, it determines the liability of the main owner or whatever in the business. But the way Donald Trump's business was set up as an incorporation, even his CFO could not be held directly responsible for something so trivial as paying taxes on a company vehicle. There is a legal separation between the owner and the officers of that business and the business entity itself.
That's correct.
So all these bringing charges against Donald Trump because of business transactions is an absolute fallacy, simply because Donald Trump and his business are two separate entities.
Well, and it's no different than what we were talking about prior to the show. Is you've got these people up in Chicago, and they voted out Mayor Lightfoot, aka Beetlejuice.
I love the
And
names we got for people now.
those people were fed up with how the city of Chicago was being run and the level of crime that was being committed in the city itself and against the citizens of Chicago. So they elected another guy. You would think a rational person would think that, okay, we're going to get rid of this person because of their stance on crime. And
You try to
what did they
replace
do?
it with some different stance, but sounds like they just went
A
with
worse
the same
guy.
thing. Yeah.
A worse person. It's going to get worse. It's like and then they're going to be upset about why Chicago is such a shithole. Well,
Right.
because the people in Chicago are shitheads. I mean,
Well, it's just like the people in New York. I mean, it seems like everybody in New York is a Democrat is only going to vote Democrat no matter what. And look, a lot of these Democratic voters are still complaining about the problems in New York or in Washington, D.C. But let another Democrat get on the ticket, and that's who they're going to vote for. And only because they're Democrat. And that's
and look, the African American population in this country has figured it out. Trump was absolutely right. What do you have to lose? Well, you know what? A lot of them voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of them said, you know what? We're going to try something different.
Yeah.
And there were physical, tangible results from different. And Trump was right.
Well,
and
now you say African American, but look, the Hispanic community has come up with a loud voice lately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but that a lot of that didn't just have to do with Trump, though. The Democratic Party has gone so against Christian morals and beliefs and teachings. The Hispanic population cannot, in good conscience, go for that. No, even if Trump was never the president, the Hispanic population is running from the Democrats like crazy. And it has nothing to do with Trump. I mean, it does.
It does, but it doesn't. I mean,
realistic. Yeah, even if Trump didn't go there, they're looking at these unchristian policies.
That's right.
And stances that the dang Democratic Party is propping up, like pedophilia. They're trying to make laws in some states
that approve it
to where, that are pro. What do they call it? MAPs or something? Minor attracted persons? What the hell kind of sick?
Oh, wait a minute. No, those children
can
love who they want to love. Come on, people. We already know that the cerebral cortex, it takes a while to develop, and until it does, I mean, you can't say that they're mature enough to make those kinds of decisions.
Well,
but if you want to mess with a child in the first place, castration is the nicest thing that could happen to you.
All right, I'm going to have to walk into the store, so I might be minimal on my speech for a moment. I got to get me another cup of coffee and grab me something to eat. My hungry ass is...
No chocolate donuts.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Won't be no more of that for me. I'm done with my sweets. I'm losing weight. just off of changing my diet. And
Well, I
I'm
can't lie.
so glad.
When I ordered groceries the other day, I actually put out an expense on something I probably shouldn't have, but you're talking about not eating sweets anymore. I got some baklava, and I got to tell you, man, it's so good. I can't eat too much
Yeah,
of it, but it is good.
I have
Those,
no idea what that is.
those those Mediterranean desserts are sweet. I mean, sweet, sweet. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I offended whoever was in there because I walked up, looked like a young guy. I said, "How's it going, man?" Boy, it opened its mouth, and I was like, "Oh shit, there ain't nothing manly about that." So I
Well, I'll
guess
tell
it
you
is
what,
what it is. You
I
don't want to
ain't,
be mistaken, then
yeah.
carry. Now I got to add a little bit of cool down to my coffee.
I tell you what, I am very, very glad that I decided to stop drinking anyways because Bud Light has lost my business.
So has Jack
So is
Daniels.
Jack Daniels. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know the wife. I got home this past week. Well, I say past week, 2 days ago, a day and a half ago. Oh, happy Easter, everybody.
Oh yeah,
But I,
happy Resurrection Day.
yeah, I got in Friday, and it's normally a case of Bud Light in a cooler and a refrigerator for the wife. And I get in there Friday, and sure as shit, it's Miller Lite. I'm like, well, that's it.
Yeah,
The
Bud
Williams
Light has
household
lost.
ain't. I don't know what this cat in front of me doing, man, but he needs to be moving because I think I might have to back out of this sucker. I mean, which will be an awful shame, but I ain't got all day to sit here and wait on these people, man. Yeah, I'll be that guy.
Today is that guy day.
It is.
Well, I tell you what, they censored Jesus 2,000 years ago, but you know what they say, you can't keep a good man down.
Yep.
So
All I need to do is get through that one fuel island right there, which should not be too damn difficult. I guess that guy's taking a break. I mean, he's sitting there looking at an empty parking lot, but he's going to do it at the pay line.
oh, that's where you're
First,
supposed to do it, is where you're in everybody else's way.
yeah, well, earlier he was sitting right there at the fuel island.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just sitting in there. What are you doing, man? Hold on. He's in there eating, man. I got to say something. I mean, okay, everybody, just who I am. I mean, what are you doing? Why don't you pull it? I was behind you forever, man. Fucking idiots, man. And then he looks up at me. It's like, I don't know.
What are you honking at?
I don't know if he's just giving himself fellatio or whatever he's doing. And I thought he was eating. I'm like, I pulled up behind him a while ago because he was one of the earlier trucks sitting at the fuel island. I'm like, well, he's the only one that doesn't have any fuel pump in his tanks.
Right.
The hose ain't in his tanks. So I'm like, well, I'm going to pull up behind him. He's about to go up to the pay line. Then I can run in and get what I need.
Right.
Well, what happens? I come out. He's still sitting at the pay line. I ain't seen him get out of his truck. I back up because he ain't going nowhere. And then when I get up beside him, he's sitting there doing something. It's like, dude, this isn't where you take a break. There are empty parking places all over this truck stop. Take your worthless ass to a parking spot. Or go park on the fucking road. The road don't go nowhere. It's a dead end.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Another for today, another for the history. Thank you for hanging out with us. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. I don't know what you're thinking. Yeah, you read all the comments. And listen, our merch store is now open. It's called American Superior Novels and Apparel.store. Go check it out. On behalf of Patrick and myself, we're the Constitution Commander signing out.